Peace and blessings. This is Misael Bey, also known as Warlock Asylum, on behalf of the Art of Ninzuru blog page. Today we have a special guest and we have a special presentation. I know you're really going to enjoy it. So sit back and relax and have a good time. We would like to thank you for all your support and we look forward to seeing you more. Have a great day.
Hello, my name's Antony Cummins and I live in England, the UK, and I spend a lot of my time in Japan. I am a historical researcher and an author, and I have set up a team, and what I want to do is study and research historical ninjutsu and bring to light the truth about ninjutsu. What did the ninja actually say about being a ninja? I went to the Victoria University of Manchester to get my degree in ancient history and archaeology, and then I went on to do my master's degree in straight archaeology, and I did it in the Iron Age and on the Neolithic and things like that. And then I moved my interest academically to Japan.
Yo, Mom! I want to get into historical ninjutsu studies.
I've always been interested in the warrior culture. I've loved the idea of Western warriors as well, but I've always had this love for Japanese shinobi since I was a child, a burning passion for Japanese shinobi. If you actually asked me which do I prefer, Western knights and medieval castles or the samurai, I would probably say the Western knight. However, above all of that, I have this ingrained burning passion to deal with the shinobi themselves, just the shinobi, and of course the samurai as well. But in the main, it's just ninja, and it's always been this passion behind in the back of my mind that I've never got rid of since a child. And finally, I've come to realise that dream, and now I publish books on it, which is excellent. And we're only at the beginning of it all, and I hope to publish a lot more. Things that have fascinated me. I'll be honest with you, I think it's the complexity. Nothing's really disappointed me, but one thing I remember I was told at the beginning of all this is when you read ninja manuals, you get very, not upset, but disappointed. You expected some special powers that would make you, I don't know what you're expecting, but you've got this ninja, and when you open the scroll, and of course I need a translator, and the translator's translating what you're talking about, you're suddenly like, some of them you're like, that's amazing, but overall, when you read all Ninja Scrolls, you're like, I was expecting something more. But once that's passed, you go deeper into it, and then you place it in a framework, you place it in context. And once you have the context of the ninja and the context of the history around the ninja, those skills and those snippets are only the small details about ninjutsu. It's like it's built on the social framework. So you've got a warrior who's there in his armor, and he's been trained, and he's scarred possibly, he's killed a few people, probably quite a lot of people, he's been on military campaign, he's got skills that you wouldn't believe, none that I mentioned in the ninja manual. I mean, like, he's a fighter, he can tell, he can live in the wilderness, he can find his direction at night, he can understands the commanding of armies and understands, positioning, and then he goes out and he scouts in enemy territory, and he comes back with this information and maybe some enemy heads, and he applies all of his ninjutsu inside of his mission, be it as a spy or be it as a commando. And I think what you get is this disappointment and then this elation as you really, really understand what's going on in medieval warfare. How did my literary works materialise is it's actually through Yoshie. Yoshie is the star. She's the big guns, I like to call her. She's my big guns. She is superb. She has a bachelor's degree, so basically a degree in linguistics and translation English and things like that. And she loves translating. She absolutely adores translating, and she loves history. So it's an excellent combination. Of course, I'm trained as a sort of, I have a basic understanding of how history works through my degrees, and I'd like to improve that. Of course, nobody's ever at the peak. You should really push yourself, and I keep trying. But what happened was me and Yoshi were speaking. We're like, this stuff should be published. So I was like, right. So we got the books, and we got the Shoninki, and we got Nakashima's, and we got Kimura's. That's the person who wrote another Shoninki. We got another Shoninki, and we looked at all their comments, and Yoshie put her comments to it, or what she thought was right, and then we all looked at it together. Me and Yoshie looked at it together, and we go through sentence by sentence and get the correct connotations. This was more difficult with the Shoninki because we didn't have Skype. It was all done through emails and things like that, and phone calls, so it was quite difficult. But of course now we don't have that. And we just wrote to the publisher, and the publisher were like, we'd love to publish that, and they said fine. And then it just went on from there, and publishing and books, and it was dead easy to get these things published. No problems whatsoever. And but my favourite, to be honest, is probably, apart from the Shoninki, of course, I think everybody who knows me has an understanding that I love the Shoninki, which is by the Natori family. But for just straight ninjutsu, I would say that the Iga and Koga book, Iga and Koga Ninja Skills, is the best one, because it's written for beginners. It's written for people who don't understand, or are just coming into ninjutsu, and it was written in the medieval period or the later medieval period, and it's just clear as glass. It's like, this is ninjutsu, and you're like, yep. I'm so glad that Chikamatsu and Kimura and all them wrote this, because they wrote it and it was like, there's too much modelling about ninjutsu. This is the truth. Bang. I was happy as Larry about that. It's absolutely a superb book. What's the relationship between, being like Shinto and Buddhism and Tengu and mythology and mystery and things like that? You've got to be careful here, because ninja have been steeped in this. They are from Yamabushi and they are Tengu. These are not correct. This is not correct. I'm not saying they have no connection to it, they do, but there's the fake idea that the ninjas were born from the Yamabushi. That's absolutely not correct. There is no proof whatsoever anywhere to support that. And the other one is that, of course, ninja were known as Tengu, the evil demon goblin things, and they used to work, Tengus taught them and things like that. There's no proof for that either. In fact, one of the biggest myths I'd like to bust is people say, what is the ninja spirituality? And there is no ninja spirituality, because ninja is a military job. That's like saying, what's a royal engineer's spirituality? There is no royal engineer's spirituality. He may be a Christian or he may be a Muslim. That's his spirituality. So for a ninja, they're medieval Japanese warriors. So they would love Shinto, they would love Buddhism, and they would talk about Confucianism, probably when that got pushed in the Edo period. They would talk about the philosophy of the day and the spiritualism of the day and things like that. So of course, like all things, your concept of spirituality, or your concept of God, or your concept of the gods and magic and things like that would always be affected by your work. So I have no doubt that the idea that Shinobi was a shinobi, that affected his understanding. For example, we think that most shinobi would love Marashiten, the god, because that's also the god of sort of invisibility, or the warfare god. But so many samurai love that god as well, or goddess it should be. And the idea is that they want, hiding. The other thing is that the magic is all based on power from the gods and divine power. So we have to get away from this idea that the ninja was like, the Yamabushi. That's not true. And the ninja was like Tengu, or connected to the Tengu. That's not true. It's much more complicated than that. You have to have a full understanding of Shinto, a full understanding of Buddhism, a full understanding of like samurai culture with religion. So you need to do samurai and religion, or even Ashigaru, which is a foot soldier, and religion, and look at the religion of that time, and then see how that affects the life of the ninja. But what are the occult practices? So what you've got to remember is, I've just spoke about religion, philosophy, and all that type of thing. There is without doubt ancient practices in ninjutsu which are passed down probably from the Asian mainland, maybe influenced by India, places like that. You know, like clearly Sanskrit's in there and Chinese. There's no doubt that Japan is heavily influenced from China, and China got its influence from other places as well. And there's a bit of it, you imagine it like a ink on a page, it stains out, and Japan gets little bits of this ink, and that clearly is shown in the ninja manuals, where you get but we have to be careful here, because you get things that come in and then you get native. So we all know that Shinto is the native of Japan, and folk, there's also folk magic which is native to Japan, we think, and some of it was influenced from other places, and so there's this big mix of possibly an echo of distant lands that has moved in through China, that has mixed in with the native beliefs of Japan that have grown there anyway, and you get this beautiful sort of rich ancient knowledge from these places. And for example, I'll give you one for an example to answer in this interview, is the idea of eyes of nocturnal creatures giving you sight or vision. So like it says in the Iga and Koga, so Iga and Koga ninja skills, you get a dog and you pull out its eyes, and you will put them in a crimson bag, and when you carry them with you with certain chants and certain spells, you'll be able to see better at night, or it will hide you from the eyes of the enemy. We found this, like, if, for example, in Fukushima Ryu, you will get the eyes of certain creatures, nocturnal creatures, and you, or, you know, like dogs and things like that, and you place the eyes on a thread and you put them in a headband, and you place the headband on, and this in a red headband, so it's the same as the Iga and Koga, and then there's spells and things like that, and that will stop you from actually seeing being seen by the enemy, or you can see the enemy. It depends on which spell you go with. Also, for example, the classic one is hanging a stone from the roof of a house, so when it hits the floor, you know the master and everybody is asleep in the house when the house drops down. But of course there's lots of magic that goes along with it, praying to the gods. So the gods are part of medieval life. That is absolutely true. You cannot get away. But you shouldn't think of it as something external to the common thought. So for example, you would pray to Saint Christopher for travel here, and there's no difference in Japan. You would pray to a certain person for invisibility, or you pray to a certain person for travel, or a certain person, you know, depending on where you are, or you would do a certain thing to help with travel. Like there's rituals in one of the books I did, which was the Koken Densho, which is actually Akutagawa Ryu, and that talks about instant teleportation travel. It's not a teleportation. What it means is it's actually safe travel and speedy travel, so therefore you will appear at the other place instantaneously, or, you know, without problem. What it means, or what we're going through, is that mountains will move out of your way, rivers will change their course. Of course the ninjas didn't believe rivers would change course and mountains would collapse. What it means is that a ninja can start at one place and get to the other one, and these mountains will not be a problem, rivers will be easy to cross, bandits will not be there. It's all about helping with the ninja mission. Natori Ryu, right, if you're unaware, I have sought permission from a family of one of the original ninja schools, which is called Natori Ryu. It's also known as Shin Kusunoki Ryu, which is New Kusunoki Ryu, or Kusunoki Ryu, and it's a branch of the Kusunoki school, under the banner of the Natori family. Now, what happens is Natori wrote one of the 3 major manuals, that was the Shoninki, the True Path of the Ninja, and we've translated that, by the way, as True Path of the Ninja, that's what I mean. And we produced it, and we didn't know Natori had done all these other scrolls, and when we found his other scrolls, they're extensive and massive and very well illustrated. So we're going to bring it all together. We've got permission from the family, the original family, to bring it all back and revamp it. So Natori Ryu was actually, it ended in about 1870. It went on a little bit in some branches, but overall it collapsed and, you know, was shut down, and like most samurai schools, didn't continue. So what we're going to do is because the scrolls are so amazing, we've got a full samurai curriculum and a full ninja curriculum, and we're going to put them all together and publish them, and people can resurrect these old styles. So the reason I'm forming it is simply because people don't understand the ninja, and people don't really understand the samurai. They understand the politics of the time, and this clan did this and this clan did that. That is so well understood, but not what did the samurai actually do. You know, what does samurai do on a daily life? That's what I'm going to change, and I'm going to make sure people are aware of.
Do 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 do. I'm a ninja. I'm a ninja. Do 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 do. I'm a ninja. I'm a ninja.
Okay, this question is absolutely important. Is can ninja exist today? Can they be ninja? I would say absolutely no. There is no way you can be a ninja today. The reason for this is simple, is you have to be hired by a lord in Japan, and you have to hold a military position as a commando spy in samurai times. So no, you can't be. It's impossible to be. Nobody on this planet can put their hand up and say, I am a ninja. That is not true. You are not working for a lord, you are not infiltrating the enemy, you are not breaking into enemy castles, and you are not getting information for a moving army in Japan of samurai. It is not true. However, some people have a job that reflects that, but why would they say I am ninja? If they work, say, for the CIA in America, then why would they say they are ninja? That would be like the word spy was invented, in England because we had spies, or there's an Indian word for spy, there's probably an Eskimo word for spy, but probably not, but you understand what I'm saying. It's a case of why pick ninja out of all of them. Nobody can be a ninja. However, that doesn't mean you can't replicate the teachings. There's no problem in becoming as good as a ninja, climbing as well as a ninja, doing codes as well as a ninja. I personally think it will benefit anybody who gets into this game and they want to train to be as good as a ninja, because what's the harm in that? It's absolutely the easiest question to answer is, should I play video games? Should I eat pizza and watch cartoons all day? Or should I train to study the stars, get directions, learn about explosives, learn about chemistry, learn about plants, learn about herbology, learn about all of these things, learn about, basically fighting the enemy and combat tactics and things like that on battlefields. Why would we not? So, not a problem at all.
Okay. Still around my way. I'm a ninja. On a serious tip, how would a ninja group operate today if their training camp still existed? For example, a lot of the older samurai groups were said to influence like the Yakuza or other groups in that case. Is it possible, maybe further research may have to be done, that this was the case with the Black Dragon Society? The Black Dragon Society was so big that they even influenced Marcus Garvey and other civil leaders and etc. How would a ninja group operate today if they still existed from old times into today? That's something that I've considered often.
I don't actually think any ninja societies exist today, simply because nobody has proven it. Now, you have to be careful here by that. I don't mean to say that there are none. I'm saying that nobody has proven it. So to prove it, you would need your documentation, which means all schools in Japan, they used to pass on the documents of the school, and they used to pass on like the names of the grandmasters, and you should, if a ninja school exists today, they should have all the names of the skills that they use, and it shouldn't be hand-to-hand combat. So all the different names of the skills they used, all the different descriptions of the skills they used, anything, they should have some form of scroll that predates them. Not always truth, but you've got to investigate everyone's story individually. But no, I don't think they are today. But how would they work? This is really difficult because samurai schools still exist today, and some of them have ninjutsu in. There's very few, small amount. But they are living history. Even there, they dress historically. They use swords historically. They don't actively go out on battlefield. So why would ninja still, go out and do things? It wouldn't work. So any ninja school that existed today would be like living history. It would be people who are keeping the teachings alive, set in a historical period. They wouldn't come out of that historical period. If they did survive and they continued, like for example the Black Dragon Society, if I remember rightly, is it became a sort of criminal based activity, and they used to deal in deception and spying and things in Russia, I believe, and in China, and they were a very real, the Black Dragon Society was a very real society, and it had goals, and it had political aims, and they had probably some former, powerful people in there. But the question is did they actually have any ninjutsu going there? It's actually a very good question. People have a go at Ashida Kim a lot for this, and but let's take Ashida Kim out of the equation for the moment. Look at the actual historical Black Dragon Society. So let's forget about Ashida Kim's connection to it. That's for Ashida to deal with, and he does deal with that. So if you look at it, the Black Dragon Society really did exist, and it had its base of operations, and it did deal in espionage. So how much did they take from ninja information? That is something you'd have to find out. We'd have to go to some of the original members. Obviously they're all dead now, but people, any documents from there, any documents that were given, anything like that, were any of these connected to any of the families from Iga, things like that. So Black Dragon Society is a real society, but you'd have to do a lot of research to find out if they used modern spine techniques or if they went to the old shinobi spine techniques. That would be a discussion in itself. So Africa, yes, I've spent some time in Africa. I am not an archaeologist by trade. I never did it professionally. I simply have a master's degree in archaeology, which makes me an archaeologist in brackets. I've only ever done it through university. So, however, it's excellent in the fact that it's given me a new perspective. Most people think that I do history, as a historian or as a researcher, and that's what I have to tell people, but actually it's a little bit different from that. What I did was ancient history and archaeology. Now archaeology is about, people often don't understand the differences. History is about getting documentation, and you look at the documentation, you say such a king did this and such a queen did this, and on such a day this parliament did this. Archaeology is you dig up physical objects and you recreate the skills or the environment that people actually lived in. Now what I've done is tried to tread a line on both sides. I'm not interested, and when I say not interested, I mean of course I'm personally interested, but professionally, I'm not interested in what clan did what's the head of this clan, the name of that clan, and the big politics of Japan. I'm not really interested in that. I'm interested in the archaeological perspective, the on the ground, in the dirt. What did a samurai do? Yes, we know such a lord talked to such a lord, but what did a samurai do? And what did a ninja do? Let's look at his tools and how did they work, and does this work, and can that work, and what spells did they use? So I'm using my archaeological training to do that. And so the question about Africa is that I got the chance to live with or stay with a village, a tribe in Africa for a month, and it was in Ghana, and it was with Professor Insult, and he is basically giving the history to the Talenti people. He's creating a history for that region of Africa, and I worked on the dig with him for a month, and it was excellent. I was like obviously the doing the legwork, so we were taking recordings, hours and hours of like recordings and heights of rocks and things like that for looking at the area around the shrines, and we went to the shrines, and the people still live there, of course, so we were creating a history for their people, and of course the archaeological record, so that type of thing.
Yes, I would just like to say thank you, Mr. Antony Cummins, for taking the time to get the interview done, and we've been trying to work on this for quite some time, so it's really a blessing. It's a new approach to the Art of the Ninjutsu blog page interview, or even myself doing interviews in this format. But it's definitely a blessing to have you answer a few questions, share some of your insight and wisdom. It's really deeply appreciated. I also like to give my thanks in regards to someone that you mentioned, Grandmaster Ishida Kim, for all his hard work. He's my personal sensei and teacher. Not saying that you agree with that sort of thing. Ninjutsu is a very controversial subject. I guess there's historical ninjutsu and what people are doing today. We want to kind of stay away from that controversy today and just focus on the good hard work that you're doing in the efforts of historical research. That's of value to everybody, regardless of their perspective. And it's something that, you should be commended on. I mean, it's tremendous work. Just seeing how you make that happen is just truly a blessing for our present generation and people in the future, just uncovering so much stuff learned today. There's quite a bit more. And I also want to thank the listeners and people who support the blog page for stopping by. We have one more, I think one or two more questions before we end, but I just want to insert that because this will probably be the last visual that you'll see of me today. But I just want to say thank you for the support and really taking the time. I mean, that was really, really a blessing.
My advice for anyone watching this is simple, is that the ninja are so popular that so many people have taken buckets of information, and when I say information, it's bad information and good information, made up information, and imagine a pool of water, and they've just poured it all in, and like blood and fish, if you want. Let's make an image out of it. They've got lots of fish in the bucket. Some are real, some are true, some's fake, some's totally fake, and they're just throwing them all in the water. It's becoming a mergy, messy mixture of blood and guts and fish and things, and you can't see through the water anymore. There's no clarity there. But underneath this, underneath all this, is there's a goldfish going through, and that goldfish is our truth about ninjutsu, and we're trying to find that truth in there, in all that muck and rubbish and terrible. So what I would say to you, if you really want to search the ninja, is the reason I publish my books is simply because there wasn't any information there, and I've done it so you guys don't have to. If you want to know about ninjutsu, I'm going to say use my books, not because they're my books at all, simply because they're the words of real ninja. I am still waiting for someone else to get on this bandwagon and write a book about historical ninjutsu. Now, people are starting to do this. There are a few books that are starting to creep that way, but as of yet, no one is really doing anything historical. They're clinging on to this old idea of shuriken and dressing in black, and we'll put a mask on and we'll do this kata. That's still being clung to. So my advice to you is avoid anything. So if somebody says they have a ninja hand-to-hand combat, by that I mean fisticuffs, people fighting, avoid it like the plague. If somebody dresses with a ninja mask and they've got shuriken, avoid them like the plague. If they've got like a sickle with a chain, avoid them like the plague. This is not ninjutsu. But it's everywhere in the world, in not just one group, in many groups. So avoid that and stick to what the real ninjas say. So at the moment, there's only my translations, mine and Yoshi's translations, of course, and we work through them as hard as we can to get them as correct as we can. They're not going to be 100% correct, no translation is, we know that, and we're trying to make it better. So my advice to you is start by reading all the ninja translations that we've done. Then, when you've got a base there, go out and find out about Shinto. Go out and find about Buddhism. Go out and find about folklore magic in Japan. Find out about the gods. Put the context in, and you'll soon find all the... At first, when you look at all this information, the fish and you're like, so complicated, which is which fish, which is correct, which is truth. But once you learn more about Buddhism, Shinto, the gods, you learn a bit more about samurai life, you start to understand what the ninja is and where they fit into it. So if you want to understand about ninjutsu, understand the context behind it, and don't be fooled by the guys who dress in black and speak Japanese. Just because they're Japanese doesn't make them true. Just because somebody speaks Japanese doesn't make them correct. It's worse that the Japanese get this wrong, and they do get it wrong. Even in the heartland of Iga, they get it wrong. So don't just trust things that come out of Japan because they're Japanese. That's like saying someone in England spoke about the Knights Templar, therefore it's right. Absolutely not true. It is that simple. People speak about the Knights Templar all the time, or the Spartans and the 300 and Leonidas, and because if someone in Greece said it, would you believe it? Because it's about Greek people. It's that simple. So don't believe the Japanese just because they're Japanese. Believe historical analysis and believe the correct historical path. So apart from that, guys, don't be scared of getting involved. Really get involved. If you push it and get involved and make these things come to life, I have done all this work so people can take them and bring them to life, and you can do that. And from the perspective of what I've seen, I've talked to the gentleman here interviewing me, it's more based in the Shinto and the religious side. So make sure you really get a good grip of the religious side of Japanese practicing. My name's Antony Cummins. Please follow me on Facebook. It's Antony without H and Cummins without a G. And of course follow Natori Ryu, and see my website. There's free downloads. I've got some free books. So if you want to start anywhere, come on my website, www.natori.co.uk. Click the Antony Cummins side and then click downloads, and you'll find Shinobi Soldiers 1, Shinobi Soldiers 2, and that will take you through the basics, and they're free. There's no charge, they're free, and that's the way you can get involved. So thank you very much for the interview, and thank you very much for putting the questions forward, and hopefully I'll speak to you again.